Hello guys, welcome back to another review. Oh, I think I have a lot to say on this one. So this might be a long review. You know, gotta throw in some lengthy ones every now and then. The last couple ones I've done were actually surprisingly short. I don't know, if you look back into my old, if you go right back into the early days of my YouTube channel, a lot of my reviews were very, very short. And I guess it's because I was still kind of getting used to figuring out what I wanted to say. And then as time has progressed, I've found my voice, so to say. But there are still some films where I'm just like, I don't have much to say. But I do have plenty to say about this film, so let's just dive right in. Anna is a 2019 English language French action thriller film written and directed by Luc Besson. Beneath Anna Poliatova's striking beauty lies a secret that will unleash her indelible strength and skill to become one of the world's most feared government assassins. I first saw the trailer for this film back in May as I was seated for my screening of John Wick 3. It instantly caught my attention and I was making a mental note to go and see this movie. I learned it was coming out in June, but when I later went to check on it, it had vanished. It reappeared in my cinemas list, but instead set to be released in August. Then again, it got moved to September. It was becoming clear me getting to see this film in cinemas was going to be slim, as I noticed even in America it had a very short run, but this did not make my desire to see this film waver in the slightest. Lo and behold, I was finally able to watch it and I jumped at the chance, and I'm here to say I wasn't mad at it. This is the second film role given to Russian model Sasha Luss, and with that in mind, I think she did a terrific job in the role as Anna Poliatova. She doesn't have to pretend to be Russian due to the fact she is in fact Russian, so she's already got a leg up on her fellow cast members. Funny enough, as I was watching it, I was thinking to myself how she was the only person doing a brilliant job at delivering a Russian accent. Little did I know is because that's her voice. When it comes to accents, Helen Mirren's performance as Olga faltered in a few places, and same with Luke Evans' performance as Alex. While he nailed in a few areas, in others his natural Welsh accent was coming through and it made me giggle a few times. I went into this film thinking I was going to get a high action-packed assassin film, but what I actually got was a very intricate spy film that is more focused on espionage than it is on stunts. So in that vein, I think comparing it to films like John Wick is somewhat inaccurate, as that's not the kind of film this is. It's about a woman who is strong, highly intelligent, determined, and desperate for freedom, but at every turn she finds herself at the mercy of someone else. We see a series of events that appear to take Anna further away from her goal, but given the nature of her character, it only makes her more determined to fight for her freedom. The film has a moment towards the end where Anna compares herself to a matryoshka doll, describing herself as a person within a person within a person, but asking which one is the real her. The real Anna is the one she wants to be, instead of all the other Annas she's been forced to be. Anna finds love twice in this film, first with KGB officer Alex, played by Luke Evans, the same man who recruited her. With him, she is one person, and while he loves her, he loves his country more. Then there's Leonard, played by Cillian Murphy, who, similar to Alex, initially plans to use Anna's skills, but soon falls for her, and while he loves her, he also loves his country more. Anna loves both these men, and each has a different part of her, but like them, she loves something more than she loves them, and that is her freedom. I'm usually someone who hates love triangles, but I enjoyed this story element because it's not a love triangle, and it's not even technically an affair either, so this does not negatively affect my moral compass. Anna lives 3 different lives. In one life, she is a KGB agent in love with a KGB officer. In another, she's a KGB agent working for the CIA and in love with a CIA agent. Then in another, she's a model living in France, living with her girlfriend, pretending to have a normal life. That many lives are bound to drive you mad. Being pulled in so many directions, always under someone else's control, never able to live your life how you choose. As the story moves forward, we see at each turning point in Anna's life, she takes one step forward only to take 3 steps back. She feels like she's getting closer to her goals, but then something comes to move it further from her reach. Anna isn't like other Russian spy characters. For starters, she has no loyalty to her country or her government. Her allegiance is to herself. She's not a cold-hearted or malicious person, but someone who does what she must to survive. Given there is a journey to the character and the character goes through so many ups and downs, I think Sasha Luss does an absolutely terrific job in this film. When it came to stunt work, we perhaps only get 2 entertaining action scenes, with the rest being a montage of moments that predominantly feature the character doing nothing more than pointing and shooting. But her 2 best show-off moments comes from her first field test and her escape from KGB headquarters, with the best being the field test. During her field test, we had some great stunt and action choreography. This entire scene is about showcasing how the character is able to adapt and think on the fly and under pressure. It's not about showing just how great she is at fighting, but how great she is at using her brain and turning benign objects around her into lethal weapons. Now, in this regard, I'm reminded of John Wick 3. In John Wick 3, John uses a book as a weapon. In Anna goes from using a small plate as a shield to turning it into a weapon designed to kill. Each move is intelligent and it works, especially the way the camera follows her and catches each moment. Altogether, it was a brilliant scene that showed stunt work and camera work working together perfectly, and also showcasing the character's abilities. I do wish I'd gotten to see more of this, and while we did get a touch more towards the end of the film, I was hoping for more than what I got. But when you consider that this is not the nature of the film, then it is understandable that more such scenes didn't exist. Accents aside, Helen Mirren does a brilliant job as KGB handler Olga. She is a woman who has been in the game longer than anyone else, and she will remain in the game longer than anyone else. She is smart, observant, dedicated, and ruthless, but as cold as she is, she too develops a soft spot for Anna. It seems no one is safe from Anna's charms, though this relationship is more that of a mother and daughter, and does also take on more of a you scratch my back, I scratch yours dynamic. I thought it was a great character, and the fact she and her story gave another layer to this film was brilliant. The film has a timeline that jumps a fair bit. As it begins telling us one story, a new plot is introduced, so the film quickly jumps back in time to show us when this plot point actually began. I'm also not usually one for time jumps, but I think this was done in a smart way and wasn't too hard to follow, and since all the plot points intersect in the end, it all works out. The brilliance of this is that each character who shares a part of Anna essentially has their own plot point and purpose in the overall storyline, except, I'm sad to say, one, and that's Anna's female lover. Lera Bova is a model who plays Anna's girlfriend Maud, who is also a model, so not much of a challenge for her in that regard. While there is nothing wrong with Lera's performance, as she actually does a great job, the problem is the character has no real purpose in the film. Originally, her character is there as a way to allow Anna to create her cover as a model, and part of her cover is to be in this lesbian relationship, but after a while, it's not needed. She doesn't need to pretend she's in love with this woman, she doesn't need to pretend she's a model, and she doesn't sell either of those personas all that well anyway. Maud becomes a throwaway character who gets more screen time than she actually needs and is inserted into scenes that she doesn't need to be in. For the first few minutes of her being introduced, having her made sense. After that, it seemed wasteful and as though it just took up too much space in the film and just wasn't necessary. Cillian Murphy nails his performance, which is no surprise. At first I found his character to be too arrogant, but then I found it to be perfect in his role as a CIA agent. I think how they introduced him makes sense. I think how they incorporate him in the story could have used a little extra work, but it does at least line up and make sense, and I enjoy that he gets so easily captivated by Anna even though she's meant to be the enemy. Luc Evans is brilliant as Alex, but then again, I've never encountered a Luc Evans performance I didn't like. Now, again, overlooking the accent issues, I loved his introduction to the film. It was probably his best scene. I think as the story moves forward, he becomes more depicted as a sex buddy for Anna than a useful member of the KGB. I would have liked to see some of his spy skills, for example, watching him train Anna, as he did in fact do that, but we didn't get that. Instead, we see him play the role so many women in films like this play, the attractive sex figure, so in that regard, it's a nice change of pace, but I still felt he was underused. This film actually spends a great deal of time explaining Anna's backstory, and I never thought I'd say this about a film, but I felt this gave us too much backstory. I've spent years saying the words, I'm a sucker for a backstory, and this is true. I love when we go back and learn more about a character's origins, but this film went too far back and gave us a lot of unnecessary information and spent too much time showing us a different time in Anna's life. It was time that could have gone towards other more exciting things. It could have been more condensed and still included the part where it introduced Alex, but it just overdid it. I was shocked finding myself complaining about being given so much background on a character, but it indeed was a lot of useless information. Some elements were good and did explain her desire for freedom, but it didn't need to be as long or as elaborate as it was. Overall, I found this to be a very interesting spy film. Obviously, there were a couple of hits and misses scattered throughout the film, but on the whole, it was great, and Sasha Luss did a brilliant job in her lead role. I think cinemas didn't give enough of a chance to this film, and it's been pushed aside for other more successful films. I don't think this will become an underrated gem, nor do I believe it would have blown away the box office, but it deserved far more attention than it got, and that makes me sad, but I am at least glad I got to see it. Frankly, I would watch anything with Luke Evans in it, but aside from that, while I wasn't wowed by the film, I did enjoy myself, and I think it delivered what it promised. I really was excited for this film. I really loved the trailer when I saw it, and I was just like, ooh, I want to go see this film. And then the fact that it just kept getting pushed and pushed and pushed back. And, you know, the other week I checked and it still said it was due for release in cinemas here in September. And I'm just like, hang on. But it's also coming out on, I think, Blu-ray in the US in September. And it's just like, why do we do this? We actually, the same thing happened here in Australian cinemas with John Wick Chapter 2, which was so weird. I think obviously cinemas realized their error, and when it came to Chapter 3, because they did not do that, they actually, I got to see it a few days before its US release date, so they learned. But with Chapter 2, you know, it was meant to come out on this date, and then it got pushed back a month, and then another month, and then another month. And I was getting really annoyed. My brother was, he was over in America at the time. He was in New York. He goes almost every year to check out all the new stuff on Broadway. And he went and saw John Wick Chapter 2, and I'm like, I'm so bummed because I really want to go see this film. And by the time he had done his holiday in New York and come back, we still hadn't gotten John Wick yet. And then when we did, it's like, do you want to attend the advanced screening? I'm like, what advanced screening? It has come and gone in US cinemas. What the F? I did, of course, attend the advanced screening. Because I did want to see it and I didn't want to wait any longer. And of course, I love the film, and I'm glad that they learned from their mistakes when it came to the release of the third film. But like I said, I don't think that this would have completely, you know, like blown up the box office, and it did not. I remember seeing how much it said it made at the box office. I don't think it made back how much it cost to make. I'd have to double check that. But I think if it had been given a chance, it might have at least, you know, made back more, just slightly more than how much it cost to make, you know, just enough that the studio wasn't out of pocket on this one. And it didn't get a chance. There were so many people, when people like, you know, back months ago going, oh, what movie are you excited to see? I said, I'm excited to see Anna. And people going, what's Anna? I've never heard of it. And I'm like, oh my god. And one trailer. I only ever saw one trailer, and after that they stopped showing trailers for it. It's like, what in the, it's like a movie conspiracy, and they've done it with certain other films, and it really bugs me. I don't know why they do this. It's like you give me a little taste of something and then you take it away from me. It's just so rude. But anyway, that's all I'm going to say on the matter. I'm gonna stop now. So, if you have, by some miracle, seen Anna, please comment down below and tell me what you thought about it. And if you haven't seen Anna, or maybe you didn't even know it existed, comment and let me know if you plan to watch it when you can get it on DVD, or if it becomes available on streaming. But either way, tippity tap tap tap, let me know. And in the meantime, thank you as always to my amazing patrons, Ben, Francine, Ashley. You guys are awesome. So with that, I say until next time, bye.